looked up the property, found the like Zillow or Redfin post, and saw that he had purchased this house with his ex-girlfriend, which was just like sending me in a depressive spiral.
Hello, clowns.
I'm Ami.
I'm Yu Chen, and we're the hosts of Clown Vibes Podcast.
We're two best friends who get together to laugh and discuss a variety of topics.
From all things pop culture to navigating through adulthood as Asian Americans, and more with our own clown spin, of course.
We're so glad to have you here to clown around with us, and we hope you enjoy the episode.
Hello, clowns, and welcome to another episode of Clown Vibes. Ami had the most clownish morning this morning.
You guys, yesterday I had a vision, and I have been extremely craving salt lately. I have an unhealthy obsession with salt. I've been just drinking pickle juice. I don't know what's going on with me. I should probably go to a doctor. And yesterday I was just like, I need a michelada. I will do anything to make it happen.
Wait, pause. I saw your TikTok about that, and I don't know. What is a michelada? I have never heard of this term before.
Oh my, I can't believe I haven't told you. I have been obsessed with it for the last month or two. It's basically a Bloody Mary, a Mexican Bloody Mary, but you have it with beer instead of vodka.
Oh.
But it's the same type of base. It's not exactly the same, but it is still tomato juicy, tomato based.
Got it.
Yeah. But I was like, okay, let me try to make it with the ingredients in my mom's fridge, which is none of the right ingredients. But you know what? I put it together and it was okay. Although I'm struggling today now because of it. But I combined V8 spicy hot, this pickle juice, this hot pickle juice, and I poured some olive juice in. The olive juice was a miss. I should have left that out. It was so good without it, and I took it a step too far. But it was delicious. I'm gonna have it today. I have a little bit more pickle juice left. I'll be having the rest, and it's fine if I suffer. It's worth it for the taste.
So we're going to start a series on our TikTok or YouTube called Chef Thoughts or Chef Flops. And this will be our first one.
Yeah.
I'll have to test it. I'll have to make it to actually see if it's a flop or a thought.
But okay, omit the olive juice.
Okay.
Just do V8 and then find spicy pickles and put that juice in.
Okay. I was scrolling through TikTok the other day and I just came across the dumbest but craziest TikTok ever. So there was you know how TikTok Inception, you can stitch and stitch and stitch. So this was the third stitch at this point. But the first video was of this girl who was recording a random slow-mo video on the streets of New York. And it was one of those videos where it's oh, I accidentally created a thirst trap for this guy. And it was kind of a older looking man in his 40s or 50s, just walking on the streets. And I remember seeing that original video. I was like, oh yeah, he's very hot. Then the second video that this other girl stitched, she took a screen grab of this TikTok video, uploaded it into some AI or Google search engine, found this guy's photo, it matched to a photo of this guy's LinkedIn. Then she found his name and found his workplace. And then the third video, the third stitch was just this girl being we need to stop. And I agree. The first video was fun. It's kind of oh, who is this guy? It would be such a meet cute if the internet connected the two of them together and it would have been a meet cute story. But then the second video just turned it way too creepy. And now I'm scared if anyone's creating random thirst traps of me on the streets. Please take that down.
I think it's all fun and games until you actually find the person. And I hate that a lot of the avenue is through LinkedIn and then it's your professional site. Dang. Well, send me the video when you see the seventh stitch of it.
When you like mentioned LinkedIn, I was like, oh, well, lucky for you. Like, I don't think anyone will be able to match your photo. But then I remember you changed your photo because the photo that I was thinking of was when you
Yeah.
had it, when you were in your business. I was like, you do not look like that anymore. But you changed it to something more recent.
Yeah, it was my dance team picture
Oh
that
my
was like
God.
extremely airbrushed and didn't look like me at all. But yeah, I changed it to like just a normal picture. Now they'll definitely be able to find me. Maybe I should change it back. But this is a good segue into our topic today, which we're going to talk about stalking. And Yuch, I'm going to pose this question to you. Do you think all stalking is harmful, which is like generally the connotation around it? Or do you think that there is some types of healthy stalking?
Oh, I am a proponent of shocking. I know not everyone is, but I think there is nothing wrong with getting your girlies together and stalking someone's date before they're going on like a first date. There's so many different situations that a person can be in this age. It's like actually scary. And so I feel like for our mental health
Yeah.
and like a little bit of fun, why not do a little bit of stalking once in a while? But I've been in like so many situations where I feel like I've taken my own personal stalking a little bit too far. I think we
Yeah,
all have. And
for
that's
sure.
like kind of the purpose of this episode is I kind of want to talk to you about all these different types of scenarios where we're engaging in stalkish behavior
Mm-hmm.
and see like did we actually take it too far? I know in like our friendship breakup episode, I talked about like one of my ex friends who was literally stalking her like professor, and that's taking it too far. But
Yeah.
there are other situations where it's just fun and games.
For sure. I think scratching your little itch is fine. Then, whenever it becomes a true hobby, it's too far.
You know how there's always like that joke where it's like girls are like better at finding things than the FBI? Like it's actually.
Oh, for sure.
But why is it always girls?
Because boys are dumb. They just don't know. Okay, I think it's because girls are more online in a social media sense than guys typically are. And we just know how to use these sites better.
Before we get into like our stories, there's this girl on TikTok where her main account is being able to pinpoint random people that comment on her TikTok. Like people would be like, "You can't find me,"
That's scary.
and she would like do videos.
Yeah.
And the one video I saw was like his one Facebook photo, or she found like his like TikTok photo and she saw a dog and his username was like his first name. And so she like figured out like his hometown and his dog, and she like looked at his comments list and found his cousin and went on his cousin's Facebook and found like a reunion photo, and the cousin had tagged the guy in like the reunion photo. And I'm just like, please, for the love of God, let me like wipe my Facebook immediately.
Oh my, Facebook is such a good way to find people. For those of you who don't know, I used to work in forensics, and there was one project where one of the senior managers like tied a fraud together based on this guy's Facebook comments. He like claimed that he never knew this guy, like this and that, but then there's like one or two interactions of them on Facebook like from years ago. And that's how they tied everything together. Isn't that so wild? Like my job used to be stalking.
Well, no wonder you're so good at it.
It was honestly so fun. I'm sad that I don't get to do that for work anymore. Let's get into our different scenarios. So our first one is stalking an ex, and I will go first. So I have this friend who her ex-boyfriend downloaded and logged into the Tesla app on her phone and never logged out. And this was like years ago. Like this is a ex I think of at least a year, if not more. Like I don't remember exactly when. And to this day, she tracks his location via the Tesla app. And the first time I met her, we were just sitting on the couch. It's like 11 o'clock watching Vanderpump Rules. And all of a sudden, she's just like, my ex is at Bottled Blonde. And I just looked at her and I was like, what? And then they told me the whole saga. And I was just like, wow, this is so funny. And I think like the best story I've heard in a while.
Okay, but when you first told me this story, it was so wild because it had something to do with like Whole Foods on like or flowers on
Oh,
Valentine's
yes.
Day, right?
Oh, yes. Okay, I forgot that part. So she was saying, it was like near Valentine's Day, and she was saying, like, I don't think he's dating anyone, but he was at the Whole Foods that's not near his house on Valentine's Day. She was like, why would he be there? This and that. And we were trying to come up with scenarios where it would make sense. So I was like, well, like he could be returning a package, like he could be just trying to buy groceries, like maybe he was in that area. And she would just be like, well, why was he in that area? It's not near his house. These are like the Whole Foods near his house he could have gone to. And it was just very funny. She was basically like, he was definitely buying flowers, but for who? It's just interesting how closely she monitors his location, and I'm here for it.
I'm here for it, but I feel like for her sanity, I think she should
Yeah.
stop or maybe allow herself, maybe just log out of his Tesla app and like cut the cord, you know? Because isn't she in a relationship now?
Yeah, although they may have broken up, I don't know. But I do agree, but like I think that if she changed her mindset to be like, where is my Neopet today? Rather than thinking of him as an ex and caring too much about like why he's at Whole Foods, it would be more fun. I think the initial part of like, haha, he's at Bottle Blonde right now was funny.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was funny because it was like 10:30. Like, why are you at Bottle Blonde at 10:30? That's like too early. But then the Whole Foods story did take it a little bit too far.
To explain to the audience what the like Neopet reference is, basically it's kind of just like a situation where you're just checking in on someone that's kind of irrelevant, but like you're just checking in on them. Versus stalking is like a completely different story where you're like actually emotionally invested.
Yeah.
I have a few Neopets that I check up on in the wild.
Yes, it's so fun. Okay, and I also have another story which I was semi involved in.
You participated in the stalking in this instance.
I did. I was like ready to get the info. One of our mutual friends dated this guy in college, and he is apparently dating someone else we went to college with. And our friend had just happened upon her Insta profile and was just like doing some fun digging, just checking, seeing what she's been up to.
So she's a Neopet for this friend of ours.
Well, it was the first time. So it was not Neopet stage yet. It was just happened upon this girl's profile, and she was like, oh, we kind of know her. Like, let's see what her pictures are like. You shouldn't be private. I mean, you shouldn't be public, honestly, these days. That's everyone's own fault. And from a picture of a shadow on a rock, she basically was like, it's him. They're dating. And it was actually really wild. She sent it to me and she's like, isn't this that guy? And I was like, oh, it's for sure. He has a very like specific stature. And then she like kept looking through pictures and he would like comment on stuff. And then like in some of the pictures he would be on like the last slide. But it was always in a way where it's like, well, they could be friends. Like we don't fully know, but it didn't seem like friends. Like gut reaction was like not friends. And this girl from college is actually one of my new friends, like college roommates. So I basically called her and was like, hey, like, remember when you went to New York for someone's like birthday? Whose birthday was that? And she confirmed. So our friend was 100% correct. And from a shadow on a rock, deduced it. She is like the ultimate stalker, though.
Yes, I say this with like a lot of love, but she stalks everyone. Remember I told you that I received like a follow request from her on Instagram and she's like, I accidentally unfollowed. And I'm just, in my mind, I'm just like, all right, what's she stalking me about? Like, I tell her anything that happens to me, which is nothing.
Well, you know, like now you don't see people's posts like on your feed as often. So maybe she was just like, oh, what's Yuch been up to? Like, I must have missed some posts.
Yeah.
And she's just making sure she liked them. She was just doing her duty.
I do that sometimes. But then if I'm like stalking someone on Instagram, you know how like we have to be so careful not to like their photos. But like I'm clicking on an old photo and I'm just like, did I like it the first time? or did I accidentally like it? And so I unliked it just to make sure.
That's actually smart because unliking doesn't give you a
Yeah.
notification. So,
All right, stalking an ex is always really fun. It doesn't have to be romantic. It can also be a friend, ex-friend stalking. I do that all
for
the
sure.
fucking time. One aspect that I am just like so guilty of is stalking a crush. I think like a really
Mm-hmm.
easy way to do it is when you're about to go on a date, a first date. Like I think it's almost standard now that you have to stalk them at least a little bit, right? Do you stalk all your dates that you're about to go on?
I don't because I like to gamble with my life. I don't honestly because I'm too lazy, and I think like if I did stalk them, I would just cancel because I any small thing would be like, don't care for this.
Yeah, I am like actually so bad at it to the point where like with Nico, I didn't really stalk him that much just because I like met him through mutual
Yeah,
friends, and also the boy's not really on social media anyways, which is I think good for me.
yeah.
But I think in like a lot of scenarios, now that you told me that you don't stalk your Hinge dates, like send it to me or send it to Amy and we'll do it for you. It's just a little background check.
I know. I should.
Okay. But the one scenario that I want to talk to you about is oh my gosh, this is actually
Okay.
like one of the most embarrassing stories of me. Like, I get the ick for myself every time I think about this. And I
Do I
think
already
you
know
know the
it?
story.
Okay.
I think you do,
Okay.
but I don't know if you know the full extent. So, a few years ago, I was going on a few dates with this guy. He was a little bit older, and we had like this really great first date. It was like one of those like first dates that you like get really excited about, which just means it's gonna like crash and burn, essentially. But I didn't know it yet.
Okay. And now I already know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
You called me after that first one and was like, I met my husband. And I was like, okay, let's be careful.
I was trying to start my delusional phase too early.
Yeah.
You know when I was on the UGG trend like too early, if I had like delayed it about a year and a half, like it's peak delusional time right now. This would have really worked out. Okay. But after like the dates, the guy starts acting a little bit sketch. Like he starts like pulling back a little bit. It's also the holidays, so we're in like we haven't really been able to like meet up that much. But of course, like, you
Yeah.
know, in when you start to get antsy about a certain person, like what do? You go online and you stalk them. You like find out who their ex-girlfriends are. And in like one of our first dates, he kind of mentioned that he was recently out of like a relationship, like 4 months out of a
Mm-hmm.
relationship, which I didn't love. Like no one really loves that
Yeah.
because you don't really know like what their situation is and like if they're actually ready for something new. And so because I had that information in the
Yeah.
back of my head, I was like, let me do some sleuthing. So on one of our dates, he had shown me a Pinterest account or a photo of these like really beautiful houses that he was like into. He was like showing me his interior design style that he really liked. And on that day, he was
Mm-hmm.
also hinting that he was meeting up with a lawyer and he became friends with the lawyer. And so
Okay.
I was like, let me look at all these accounts that he has. He doesn't have Instagram, he has Twitter. But then I found the Pinterest that he showed me. I click
Gold
on
mine.
gold mine. Who knew to use Pinterest? I'm a genius.
It's because, you know, people don't have Pinterest anymore, and it's a shame.
Yeah. Well, it's usually women who use Pinterest. This guy is
Yeah.
like a designer, okay? So like it kind of makes sense that he has Pinterest, but like what really started trickling the effect was I found the Pinterest account. There was a board that he did for the pictures that he showed me, and it was of a house, and it was a collab between two other individuals, two girls.
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
one of the girls I deduced was probably his girlfriend, and the other I looked
Mm-hmm.
her up and she was an interior designer.
Ah.
They named the house, or they named the board the name of the house or the street of the house, like a cute little name.
Okay.
And so I literally looked the guy's name up because I know the guy's name, looked up the property, found the like Zillow or Redfin post, and saw that he had purchased this house with his ex-girlfriend, which was just like setting me in a depressive spiral because I didn't realize how serious their relationship was. But
Yeah.
that like connection brought me to the name of the ex-girlfriend. And although he did not have an Instagram account, she sure did. Like she was like one of those girls that was like really into trying to have like an artsy but elusive type of Instagram. So she was like
Yeah.
posting really frequently. And of course, like I saw his photos in there. And through that was I scrolling. I was scrolling so far back that I realized that they were at least in like a 4 to 5 year relationship. And at that point, I was on full on spiral. And I think that kind of
Yeah.
led to like us eventually like ending things because I was being psychotic. But every time I think about it, it kind of gives me the ick. Like I give myself the ick all the time. But at the same time, are you not a little impressed by what I just did?
I am. And you know what? Okay, you know what I was thinking when you said that is how do we feel about people like you being able to see who owns property? Because we used to look up like what homes our partners had
Oh my
in the
god.
area to like basically judge it. And it's like, is this not like why is that on the
It
internet?
shouldn't be.
I'm very impressed, and like it's such a good logical way to get back to her. But I think that they need to take down people's names off of Zillow and Redfin.
Agreed.
I love your story if it was not him and it was like a random person.
Yeah, and I didn't care. And it didn't send me into like a
Yeah.
depressive spiral. But unfortunately
Like,
it did.
I wish it had nothing to do with you. Yeah. That was a low time, just in general. Vibes were off in our lives. And so this did not help. It was really like icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Let's talk about career stalking, which we're so good at. Thank you, Deloitte internship. And we're really good at LinkedIn stalking. I don't have any like intense stories about it. I just will look up people's LinkedIn anytime I meet them to try to backfill their age. But I guess, how do you use LinkedIn?
I mean, there's so many reasons someone has LinkedIn, but I think like from a stalking perspective,
Yeah.
sometimes I'll use it to like just look at my like recommended feed, like people who I'm adjacently connected to, or like I love to use it as like a way to go down like nostalgia where I just like, oh, I remember this person from school. I'll click on it. Oh, what have they been up to? Oh, they were in this like club that was apparently so prestigious. Let me look at what they're doing now. But sometimes it like causes me to be in this like spiral of comparison where I'm like, am I where I'm supposed to be? Do I have the title that I'm supposed to have? Am I at the right company that I should be? And that is really not healthy.
Yeah.
Our mutual friend who's a pro stalker, we were like talking once about LinkedIn stalking. I was like, I'm on private where like if you click on someone, they don't tell you that I looked at their profile, but the reverse is you can't see who looks at your own profile. And she's like, okay, but you have to be careful about this because sometimes it'll say like this person from this company instead. Like they'll generalize it. They won't tell you like your exact name, but they'll tell you that this person from like your company viewed it. And because like we both work at such niche companies, it's very like obvious who looked at your profile.
Oh God. But you know what? Maybe you should turn yourself off of private so that you are not as tempted to look.
Oh no, but like LinkedIn stalking is literally my favorite hobby. Like take away Instagram. All right, and then the like next bucket, somewhat similar, but it's basically stalking micro influencers or people you adjacently know. And like I don't understand why, but like I get so attached to maybe like some of my favorite influencers. Like remember when I told you
you're very attached?
I'm very attached. Like they are my Neopets, but they're like my star Neopets. And I want them to succeed and I want them to like find love. But remember when I was obsessed with, well, still am obsessed with Rock Your Body, Amanda Brandon's sister. She's like her own influencer.
Yeah, and you talk about her as if you guys are friends. Like, you'll text me like, "Oh, Amanda's sister is doing this now," and I have to like, piece it back together. Like, who's Amanda's sister? Like, we don't have a friend named Amanda, and luckily that pattern has gotten much quicker. But I'm like, for a minute, not a minute, for like a few seconds, I'm always like, "Who's that?"
But like people, I see people on TikTok all the time being like, "Oh my gosh, did they break up? Like, did this
Oh, for
so and
sure.
so person like do this?" And it's like we get so. I
Yeah.
think it like goes with what's that term where you are like developing a relationship with a celebrity?
Oh, like a
Yeah, a
parasocial relationship. Is that the
parasocial
word? Okay.
relationship. I think because of like that phenomenon, it just causes like stalking. I remember when she was kind of like soft
Yeah.
launching her boyfriend, I was like going through her Instagram. I was like, who is it? Like, who could it be? And of course, like because she's an influencer, she knows not to like put that stuff out there unless she wants
Yeah.
it to be found. But like because we think we know these people, I think it causes us to like just naturally want to stalk them. And then there's the flip
Oh, for
side
sure.
of stalking people that like are hometown friends or like people who we kind of know growing up. And I think like Facebook is the prime like feeding ground for that type of behavior.
Oh, definitely. And I think it's also because the few people that we would want to stalk from our hometown are the prime users of Facebook.
Yeah. I don't have a specific instance where I'm stalking hometown friends, but my old like teachers that I have added on Facebook, if I was a teacher, I would never add my students. Never ever add my
Oh,
students.
absolutely not. No. You have to like really keep like that separate.
Yeah, but I have a teacher who, whenever I had her in high school, she was newly married. And
Mhm.
then, like, when Harry had her, he was like, oh, her name changed back to what she was before. And I was like,
Mm.
oh my gosh, did she get divorced? I just like went on her Facebook and looked, and I was trying to find like her ex, but could not find him.
Mhm.
I found this one blurry photo of him playing volleyball, and I was trying to find like the leagues and like the area that they lived in,
Yeah.
but like I could not find him. But I just like from Facebook though, I deduced that she got divorced.
As soon as you've scrubbed your profile of this person, it's done.
Yeah.
That's like the telltale sign.
This is the type of stalking that I think is like healthy. It's like for fun
Oh
and
yeah.
it's just to scratch a little itch.
Like, it's just to know. It's just for my knowledge that affects literally nothing.
The last bucket that I want to talk about is unintentional stalking. It doesn't happen
Okay.
often. It's kind of like when you find out an information, a piece of information that you just
You
didn't
didn't want to
really
know.
want to know, don't care to know. And now that you know the information, it just like changes how you perceive the person or it just makes you feel weird. I mean, like I've been in
Yeah.
a few situations and it's not when someone overshares. It's like when you are literally, you stumble upon the information and you're just like, could have done without this, but
Yeah.
I have like the perfect example for this category, and I love discussing it with you because you're the only one that experienced it with me, and it's just such a like a WTF moment. But so when you were visiting me in New York, we were like
Mhm.
supposed to go out that day or something, and it was also the night before we had to fly back home for Houston. And I was moving out of New York, and so
Mhm.
the roommate that I was living with at the time, she was dating this new guy that lived in Princeton, New Jersey. We were in New York City, so it was like kind of a commute, go back and forth.
Yeah.
And this like roommate was kind of notorious for like not saying hi to people that I brought over or like
She's just socially awkward.
a little socially awkward and it was a
Yeah.
little bit odd. But at this point, you had been like staying with us for like 3 or 4 days. And she was like heading out. It was like a Friday. She came over to like say bye to my dog because we were moving out the next day. And she was like, bye, Leo. Like, I hope I see you again. And I was just like, oh, like, you can see him tomorrow. Like, we're not leaving until like noon or something. And she's like, oh, I'm not going to be home tonight. I was like, oh, okay, are you doing anything fun? Because she was like all dressed up. I was just like trying to chit chat, and you were just sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
And she's like,
I just was looking at my phone.
but you were like intentionally eavesdropping too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. 100%.
And she's like, oh, I'm going to hang out with my friends in Fide. We lived on the Upper West Side. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So you're not going to come home tonight? Like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, don't you want to like say bye to Leo tomorrow morning? I was a little bit confused by this. And she's like, yeah, I'm not going to come home. I'm just going to stay with them. Which I thought was really weird because I've never seen her like go out at night and stay out somewhere. Like, she's always at home. Like, she's more of a homebody, which is fine. But this behavior was like really awesome. I was like, okay, like Fide is literally only like a 20-minute Uber back home. Like, it's just weird that she would choose to not sleep in her own bedroom when she always does that.
Yeah.
But I didn't think much of it. We go out, we're hanging out with a mutual friend. We come home at night. I had told him to like text me when he got home, but he never did. And we all have like each other on Find My Friend on the iPhone. So I was looking at Find My iPhone to make sure that he got home safely. And of course, I share my location with my roommate too. And you know how like when you first open Find My Friends, like it just zooms out and shows like where everyone is. So obviously it's like zooming out. And lo and behold, like she's the first one that I see on the list. And it says that she's in Princeton, New Jersey.
It's the most dangerous on Find My Friends. I have intentionally stopped opening just the normal app. And I, for the person I'm trying to like make sure they got home or just like see if they're on their way or whatever, will go to their text thread and look that way because I have hurt my own feelings several times opening the map.
Yeah, the map is dangerous. Avoid the map at all costs. But in this instance, it was more just like a little WTF, LOL. Like, why did you feel like you had to lie about your location? I think, I don't know, like that whole situation with her dating this guy was also very weird. He wasn't my favorite, but I didn't really care that much about him. But I think, I don't know, she also gave weird vibes about him. Like, especially that instance, I was like, okay, are you
she was embarrassed
to be hanging out with your boyfriend or whatever in New Jersey?
Yeah.
That you had to lie about your location.
Yeah. And just like not even a good lie.
I think that's actually like what kind of made me feel weird about it. Like if you had said like, oh, I'm just going to go to Princeton tonight, I'd be like, okay, cool. But the fact that like your lie was kind of sus to begin with, it already made me like start feeling weird. And then like me randomly finding out that you were in Princeton made me feel even weirder because now I'm just like, should I not be asking how their relationship is? Like now I don't know what the vibe is. And it's just odd behavior.
Very. It's just a silly, silly lie.
Silly, silly lie.
Thanks so much for listening. You can follow us on all social media at Clown Vibes Podcast or email us at clownvibespodcast@gmail.com. And if you like our show and want to support us, please like, subscribe, and give us a rating and review. That's it for today. Bye, clowns.
Bye, clowns.